Hi everyone, Liz here. Thanks for stopping by. So, I've got a completion review to show you. This is number 5 that I've completed from my hashtag 30 by 40 DP along. Yeah, it's going absolutely brilliantly. We've got over 100 completions now between everybody. So yay, well done everybody. Thank you very much. We'll definitely be doing another one possibly next year, maybe later on in this year, but we'll see how it goes because I know there are a lot of different events going on at the moment. So yeah, I thought you'd like to see this, and I'll have a bit of a chat about my week as well. It's been absolutely, oh my goodness, if I thought last week was bad, this week just got worse. But anyway, oh, have I just pulled one off? Oh no, thought I'd just pulled a drill off then, but no, I haven't. They're just some of these spare ones. Sometimes when, particularly with colours that are all pretty similar, and when it's quite dark colours, I actually put a couple of spare drills next to the number on my chart because it's a little bit sticky just down this edge. So that I've got some spare drills. You know, if you just suddenly come across one again after you've just put your pot away, after doing another one, then I just think, oh, I've just got one spare colour there that I can just pick out and use. So I'll talk about this. I've got spare ones here as well. Look, I'll leave them on anyway because I'll be cutting them off to put it in my frame. It's a gorgeous little Scotty dog, as you can see. It does remind me of Millie Mo because she lays like that and just looks at you underneath her eyebrows, just looks up at you. And to be honest, if I put something like that on her head, she would definitely just lay there and look at me as if to say, are you joking? Why have you put this on me? And I'm not going to smile. And if you think I'm going to sit up and do anything, you've got another thing coming. It's a little bit dark. We've lost a little bit of definition. We've lost an eye at this side, but this eye's come out really well. We've got a little bit more definition around the face and the mouth because it's a lot closer up. You'll find any picture that you do that is 30 by 40, the bigger the actual subject matter in the middle, the better it comes out. I mean, these flowers have come out really, really pretty. They look really good, and the shape of the ears and everything. When you compare it to the other canvas that I got, the other Scotty dog that I did, I think you'll see. Let me just move that out of the way. Oh, I've just been joined by a Millie Moo. She's just come to see who I'm talking to. She's saying, well, I can't see anybody else in the house. What's going on? Oh, she's just having a bit of a sniff around my craft room now. Are you having a sniff? Are you going in your basket? Let me just move that out of the way then so you can get the stuff everywhere at the moment. What are you doing? Nope, she's just going to sniff. Okay, yes. So as you can see, because this face is a lot bigger, although it could definitely do with a bit more definition. What do you think, Millie? What do you think to this? Do you think it should be a bit bigger? Do you think, or do you think that's okay? Do you think that looks like you? Is it you? Is it you? No, she's not impressed at all. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, you do need the bigger faces and everything. So obviously if you're doing pictures of people, you need to go really, really big, particularly if there's more than one person. If that was just one person's face in the middle, you may get away with it. These are both squares as well, so remember, squares have got a smaller size, so you do get a little bit more definition. And because you've got a full coverage, there's no gaps in between. When you've got circles, obviously they don't all butt up completely to form the full picture. So squares do tend to be a little bit more detailed. Don't tend to sparkle quite as much, the squares, because they've not got as many facets on the top, but you do get more detail. And then this one, as you can see, that face, if that was that size, we'd have got a lot better definition. But you can still see it's a Scotty. It's still a pretty picture with all the flowers and everything in the background. And yeah, it looks like it's just, you need to up the exposure a little bit to see his face a little bit better. I sometimes need to do that on photographs of Millie because you can't see her eyes if she sits in the wrong place, if the shadow's on her the wrong way around. Right, so this one, as I say, really good. I'm really getting used to squares, but with it being poured glue and squares, went down super, no popping drills. Quite a bit of trash on this one. I think there was more trash on this one than there was on the last one, but then I've got plenty left over. So even if you do get trash drills, as long as you've got enough to complete your picture and enough that you can pick out the best ones, then there's no problem with that really. I think with anything, you know, when they're making little teeny tiny bits of plastic like this, then you are going to get some that just think, right, I'm not playing fair. I don't want to be completely square. So, you know, they do just throw out an extra little shape or something. But yeah, I just love that. So that will be going on my generic Scotty wall as opposed. See if I can get it. Yeah, you can see there, look, we've got this light down here. This isn't actually my light shining on it. That is actually... But look, there is a good sparkle on this one, even though it is square. But yeah, you've got the light here and the little nose does show up as well. It's very light today. Yeah, you can see there, look, you can just see the nose. But the eye has come out really well. We've definitely got a Scotty chewed eye there staring at you, stink eye, as it tends to get called. So I love doing this one. This is my 5th completion. It probably will be the last one that I get done for my challenge now. Because if you've seen my community little post that I put, first time I've done that, I had to look where to put it and see if it would work out and see if it worked. So yeah, and it did. So if you've seen that community post about my mum going into hospital, then you'll know that time is just not really on my side again at the moment. Famous last words from last week saying I'm going to set aside an hour or so a day and do some diamond painting, videoing or paperwork or whatever a day. Completely gone out the window. But anyway, so that is my lovely little Scotty dog. And yeah, really pleased with it. I've had these... nearly 2 years, I think, so it's probably a good job that I have now got them done. As I say, the reason for doing the 30 by 40 DP along, there is still a chance to join in as long as you get your canvas completed by the 30th of April. Then you can still join in. Instagram hashtag 30 by 40 DP along. Either message me on Facebook or on Instagram, or email me your completions if you don't want to use the hashtag. And all my contact details are down below in the description. If you click on the more button where it tells you what's in the video and then click on more again, it expands the full page. Why they've started doing it like that, I don't know. You have to click twice to actually be able to see anything these days. Okay, so let me put this little cutie on one side and we will get a box and we will start putting some drills away. So I want squares, box 1 for starters. This is, as I say, my Rebecca Admore Zest's way of kitting down. I've not found a better way that suited me than this. I did try a lot of different ways before I actually started doing this. These cards have all been bought from Rebecca Admore Zest and the little stickers on them because I decided I wanted to be ultra neat and treat myself. My squares, because I don't do as many square paintings, do look a lot neater than my round box like this. I have 2 for my rounds, 2 for my squares. All of the colour numbers, which are the DMC numbers for the diamond painting drills or gems or whatever you call them, have a little number. There's squares and rounds. My squares have got a square sticker on. The ones in my round box have got round stickers on. And a bag for every colour in the DMC code. So when I'm putting these away, all I'm doing is looking for the bag to put it in. I'm not having to go and then look for a bag and write the number on and put it in order or anything. They are all here ready for me to use. Takes a bit of setting up, but once it's done, it's great, it's wonderful. So yeah, this is the system that I like the best. Okay, I always put a link again to Rebecca Admore Zest in my description down below because I think it's only fair to credit her with this, and she's got some fantastic videos on setting up the full thing. And the box came from, these are photo boxes, and they came from Hobbycraft, and they just have a little medal part on the front, little cartouche that just lets you add in your description. So I've even printed these out as well. They're not handwritten anymore, so they're a lot neater. You can actually read them. Okay, so I've grabbed my tray and we'll get cracking. The first number is number 152. And as I say, they weren't bad squares at all, these. They were pretty good. So it's just a case of picking out my packet and tipping them into there. So I hope these all behave. I've been getting a bit of static recently. Must be my magnetic personality. I wish. Okay. So yeah, anybody that's been watching the last couple of weeks will know it was my dad's 90th birthday. And yeah, we were having a party for him on Sunday. That wasn't his actual birthday day, but that was the day that we could all get together. So we decided, you know, if it was okay with him, that we would have that day. So on the Saturday before, the day before, my brother and my nephew and their wives' partners came along. And yeah, we were blowing up balloons, and we did a great big balloon archway going right away across, like we've got an arch from our dining room to living room, and we'd put all balloons there, and we've got loads of banners and all matching tablecloths and everything. And I went and got the food. I decided that because some of my brother's family are celiacs, so they can't have gluten and things like that, it was better to keep all the food separate. They brought all their own food, and then for everybody else I did the other food. There wasn't a huge amount of us. It wasn't a mega party or anything, because my mum can only really sit for about an hour in a different place to her own chair at home and everything. So we decided, you know, as long as my mum and dad could come for an hour, as they normally do, then it was just like normal. It's just that we were having a sing, you know, happy birthday, and give my daddy's cards and bits and pieces, and just have a chat with everybody. So yeah, we got all that done. I decided that we've got a fantastic, I think I've mentioned it before, we've got a fantastic sandwich shop around here. It's in the next village to us, Mrs. Coggs in Thorngumbald, and the food is absolutely wonderful. It's always really fresh. She makes her own Scotch eggs and pies and everything, and we go there quite a bit. If we just don't know what to have and we just fancy something tasty, we go and get a lovely salad sandwich from her. And I know it's cheaper to make your own, but I do think sometimes it's nice to just treat yourself and buy one that somebody else has made, and it's always really fresh. The salad's always really crunchy, and you always get loads in them as well. You know, they really are absolutely stacked. Oh, right, 310. I'm definitely not going to get those. Oh, I might do. No, I'm not going to get those in a bag. So let me just grab a spare bag. Put these in here. So we went and got the food from her. She does it like per person, you know, like if you were doing, say, a wedding or anything like that. She does a price per head. And the amount of food that we got, honestly, I've only just put the last bits out for the birds, to be honest, today. So it's lasted really well, but it's at a point now where we're absolutely fed up with it. So yeah. But it's just been wonderful. You know, the food was just marvellous. So yeah, huge shout out to Mrs. Coggs at Thorngumbald. Thank you very much. I will put a link down below. I know a lot of people won't ever be able to go there, but you never know. Never say never. Right, you might just be passing one day and think, oh, I remember Liz mentioned that place. We'll go and have a look. But yeah, it was marvellous, and it still is marvellous. So I've yet to go in and thank her actually, because unfortunately circumstances took over. So anyway, yeah, Sunday came along. Well, Saturday night, sorry. My mum wasn't feeling brilliant. My sister had been there with my niece and her children, and my mum wasn't feeling brilliant. So she said she didn't think she'd be coming the next day, and we said, well, you know, let's see how things go, and if you do want to come, then, you know, we'll see how it goes. But, you know, or we can always come up to you, bring everything up to you. There's no problem. We're pretty flexible. I mean, it was, you know, it wasn't a set in stone party booked in a place or anything. It was just literally going to be here. And we're all pretty flexible and laid back. You know, we can just all bung it in cars and move if we need to. It's not a problem. So we we waited for Sunday morning to come round, and my mum rang and she said, look, I really don't feel well enough to come, but your dad's still going to come. And I said, well, look, let's see how you feel later on. You know, don't get sort of chewed up about it, don't get upset about it. It is what it is. It's, you know, it's not a problem. We'd like you to come, but if you can't come, don't worry. You know, your health is a lot more than a few sandwiches and a few people. Anyway, it got to dinner time, which is around about 12 o'clock-ish, and my dad rings and he says, no, I'm not going to leave you, mum, so we're not coming, which obviously is a major disappointment. And you think, so do we still get everybody to come? I mean, obviously my brother and his family are here from London anyway, so, you know, it's not like I could say, oh, don't bother coming from London, because they were already in the city. So I just said, oh, well, why don't we just have the party anyway? We've got all the food, and we'll just have a get together with the family. So we did that. Everybody came along. My brother brought along some champagne, and I'd got all, you know, champagne flutes, just plastic ones from Amazon, would you believe? My favourite shop. And yeah, we got the well, to be honest, I got all like black and gold spots. It was like the tablecloths and the plates and the napkins and everything. Even my dad's card matched in with it. I'll put some little videos at the end and some photographs at the end to show you what we actually did. And then I said, well, my dad's going to ring later on, or we're going to ring my dad later on, so we can all sing happy birthday down the phone. If we'd have known sort of like a little bit earlier, we could have set him up and shown him how to use FaceTime. So we could have done a video call, but as they were, I don't think they'd have wanted to do that anyway. So we just all sang happy birthday. But what I did was I got everybody sat underneath the balloons with the happy birthday and everything on it. And we all just sang with our champagne glasses in our hand. We all sang happy birthday to my dad, and we videoed that. And then obviously he's seen that since. So it was the next best thing to be able to be there with him to sing happy birthday to him. So anyway, Sunday night came along, and my mum was actually seeming a little bit better, sounding better, and seemed to be feeling a bit better. So we thought, oh, good, you know, she's on the mend. And then, unfortunately, Sunday night, she had a really, really bad night and was very poorly during the night. So when Monday morning came along, my sister had rung up to see how my mum and dad were. And my dad said my mum wasn't very good. So my sister went through and phoned, well, we have a system here in the UK, it's 111. Which is like before you dial the emergency services. It's like a pre-emergency services, and they can talk you through things and see whether you do need a doctor, or advise you whether you need to phone for an ambulance. Anyway, they said phone for an ambulance. So on Monday, it was about lunchtime, I think. The ambulance actually arrived pretty quickly, to be fair. My mum ended up going into hospital. So she was in A&E most of the afternoon, and then they moved her. They have this frailty assessment unit now. It's like the acute medical assessment unit, but it's that, I think, more for elderly people as well. So it's like a medical elderly type award. You know, they're always giving these things different names and moving them around. But anyway, that's where she ended up. And they got her assessed, and they decided they would keep her in overnight just to keep an eye on her to make sure she was okay. They weren't really finding anything the matter with her as such, other than the fact that she is 87. She'll be 88 later on in the year. So we decided there was no point in all of us turning up at sort of A&E and at this assessment unit, because they won't let you all in anyway. So as my sister and my dad were there, it was pointless us going. My sister's husband was turned up as well, so you know, it was just pointless everybody there being there. So you know, we were just all keeping in touch by phone, and she did seem to be relaxing and getting a bit better. You know, she was being looked after in the hospital. So you have to make an appointment for this ward to actually go and visit. You can't just turn up, and you get an hour's slot for that day, which was breaking my dad's heart, because I mean, they've been married 65 years, 66 years nearly, and been together longer than that obviously as well. So, you know, to be apart from my mum and only be able to see her for an hour during the day was, you know, really upsetting for him. Anyway, he rang up and he said he'd got a slot for 11 till 12 o'clock. And I said, well, I'll come through and get you and take you to the hospital. And he's like, no, I'm okay, I can drive myself. Because we do live at opposite ends of the city. I'm like in a town at one side of the city, and my dad's in like a villagey type part at the far side of the city. So although miles wise it's probably only about 15-ish, it can take an hour to get from our house to my mum and dad's, depending on traffic, because you have to go through the city centre. But anyway, I decided, no, I'm going to get you anyway. So I just said, look, well, why don't I meet you at the hospital then? And he said, oh, no, you don't have to, they might not let you in. And I just said, well, at least I'm there to support you and be with you, even if I can't get to see my mum. So I said, look, I'm setting off now and I'm going to be there. I'll meet you at the hospital. So he's okay, all right, you know, stubborn, but had to give in. And as we're sort of like approaching the city centre, my dad rings me again and says, oh, don't bother coming. They've rung me up to say they're sending your mum home. And I thought, oh, heck, you know, what tests have they done? How is she? What's going on? You know, and you just think, oh, no. So anyway, I said, well, look, I'm actually going to be passing the hospital in a couple of minutes, so I'll nip into the ward, and because she won't have set off yet, and I'll see what's going on. So they said, oh, okay. My dad said, oh, okay, well, you'll pop in and let me know. So I found the ward eventually. They've changed everything round a little bit since hubby was last in there last year. We've got a whole new frontage on the hospital now, and some of the little corridors are just a little bit different to what they were. So yeah, me being me, went the wrong way. Anyway, eventually I found it. And I walked into the ward, and the lady at the desk said, can I help you? And there's my mum sat next to the desk chatting away to the physiotherapist. And I said, oh, well, actually, I'd come to see how my mum was, but I can see how she is. And she just looked as bonny as ever and okay. And you know, she was in a nightie and everything and her slippers, but, you know, she was okay. She was chatting away. And the physiotherapist was getting her up and walking and talking to her. So I just had a quick word, and they said, you know, we can't really find, other than the fact that she's possibly got a water infection, we can't really find anything wrong. For a lady of her age, she's in very good condition. They didn't say that, but you know what I mean. She's not a car, I realise. You know, she's very, very good. She gets a little bit confused sometimes, but on the whole, you know, my mum and dad are both amazing. We're very, very lucky. So they said, oh, we'll be sending her home. And apparently now the Red Cross do like a taxi service, and it's all free, which is amazing. So all of my charity donations from now on are going to be going, well, for quite a while anyway, we'll be going to the Red Cross. Because, yeah, the Red Cross brought my mum home. She didn't come home with her tablets, her new tablets. They sent those later on, which just seems potty to me, but I suppose it's better to have her home than have her sat around waiting for the tablets, which, you know, with hubby, we've been sat for hours, you know, ready to come home waiting for tablets. It's a crazy system. I think there's just not enough staff anymore, and you know, things just seem to take forever or just don't happen at all. It's not a very brilliant system at the moment that we have here, but we're very, very lucky because it is all free to us, you know. So I suppose something's got to give. Anyway, so she comes home and she's sat and she has a cup of tea, and, you know, she's chatting away and she's okay. And I'd asked if I could have a read of the discharge letter. They showed me it on the system, but they wouldn't let me have a copy of it, even though my mum was sat there. You know, it's not like data protection or anything, because my mum was sat there to say it was okay. But, oh, no, it had to come home with her. Sadly, my dad completely misread the discharge letter. It has like a bit where it says new medication, and then it says old medication, and it actually said no change to old medication. But then down the side where it says who prescribed the medication, the previous medication, it said not listed on all of it. And my dad thought that meant not listed, meant not given my mum any of her tablets, her old tablets, that she just had to take the 3 new ones that were on this list. And I said, well, that can't be right. They can't just have point blank taken her off every other tablet that she was on, because she does get a lot of pain, and she is on tablets for pain and things for starters, let alone other tablets that she's on as well. So we decided we would ring the doctors the next day. I mean, it's ridiculous getting through to the doctors. Sorry, I'm moaning a lot in this one, aren't I? And my dad had rung up the day before, well, the day that my mum was poorly, and the message on the phone said, you are 100 in the queue, and I'm sorry, you'll have to call back later because we can't take any more calls. And it's like, but if you need to get through to the doctor, what on earth are you supposed to do? Which is, I suppose, why we ended up ringing the 111 service. Anyway, so yesterday I said, look, we'll ring the doctors and ask if the doctor can come out and just explain all these tablets to us and see what we can do, what she's supposed to be on, what she's not supposed to be on, when she's supposed to take them and everything. All right, I need the next box, so just bear with me a second and the saga will continue. Okay, back with part 2. So we're on 938 now. It's a good job there's quite a few colours in this one. It's a long story. So anyway, my sister had rung my dad yesterday morning and just said, how's my mum? And apparently she'd fallen that morning. Not that my dad had decided to tell anybody. He just, was dealing with it himself, as they do. They don't like to tell you. They don't like to bother you. Don't want to be a concern to you, which, of course we're going to worry where the children. I mean, I just said to them, well, look, you've been looking after us all our life, so it's our turn to look after you now. Don't worry about asking us for things or us doing things for you. That's what we're here for, So anyway, I said, oh, well, look, I'll go straight through and see what's happening. So my dad's hanging on the telephone when I get there, trying to get through to the doctors. I think he was about 28th in the queue by the time I got there. So at least he'd not been told there's too many people in the queue, you'll have to ring back. He did actually get into the queue. I think he'd started off at 90 odd in the queue when he'd first rung. Anyway, we eventually got through and I explained and what was going on. And, because we did think it was pointless ringing for an ambulance and sending my mum back to hospital and chewing her up and my dad getting all upset and my mum getting all upset, if all they're going to do is look at her and say, well, there's nothing really wrong with her, and just send her back home again. Plus, as well, of course, she'd not had all of her tablets as normal, because my dad thought that the letter said not to take all the other tablets. I mean, as soon as I picked it up and read it, I said, well, no, that actually says, it doesn't mean where it says not listed. That just means the doctor who prescribed the tablet isn't listed. But it says here that you do still need to take all the other tablets. Anyway, I didn't want to make my dad feel silly because, it's an easy mistake to make. And in some ways, I'm pretty cross that they've just literally sent the tablets home, not explained any of it to them, and just expected that an 87-year-old and a 90-year-old are going to understand one of these forms that comes home with you. I mean, to be fair, I've seen a lot of them, and I've had quite the last 4 years to study them because, with hubby, every time he goes in and comes out, we get one. So I'm sort of like getting pretty used to reading them. But unfortunately, of course, I wasn't there when he got the form, and, Anyway, in hindsight's a wonderful thing. So I said, oh, she does need to be taking them. And then he said, oh, well, I'm not giving her anything until we've seen the doctor and spoken to the doctor, which, okay, fair enough. So we eventually managed to get through to the doctor, and they said they would send somebody out. In the meantime, the Red Cross rang up which, you know, voluntary organisation, to say, oh, we brought your mum home yesterday, we're just doing a courtesy call to see how she's doing and if there's anything we can do to help. It was like, wow, fantastic. I mean, I just can't believe it. They're just so kind, because I think the volunteers as well, so just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So, you know, we've already given them a donation and I shall be taking some charity stuff in and everything for them as well, but that just blew me away. You know, your own doctor doesn't ring you, but, you know, charity organisation can ring you up to see how you are. Just wonderful. Anyway, I explained what had happened, so he arranged for some little bits and pieces that my mum would need, because at the moment, you know, she's still in bed, and he got those sent through, and they're going to arrange for a commode as well. And we've rung up all the different occupational health and social services and everybody to try and get my mum and dad some help now, because they've always said no, they didn't need it and no, they didn't want it. You know, they can manage, and while they can manage, then they don't need anybody else, and which, fair play to them, you know, that's fantastic. But I think they're realising now that they do need a bit of help. So yeah, so we've got all that put in place now. What had happened, I think my mum has a thing where she has quite high blood pressure, but then if she stands up quickly, which I think she'd done to go to the toilet, then her blood pressure drops through her boots, you know, really drops, and that can make you feel dizzy and faint. And I think that's what had happened when she'd gone to the toilet, and she didn't sort of fall, she just tried to stand up and then just slid to the floor, so she didn't hurt herself at all. But when the doctor came, she was just fine, you know, in bed, but chatting away to the doctor. And the doctor, again, didn't want to take her back into hospital, but went through the whole list of tablets with my dad, spent the time going through it. He's written it all down now, so he knows exactly what they're taking, when, and what they're doing. So, you know, she's not out of the woods, as it were, you know, health-wise. I mean, you know, at that age, she's amazing anyway, as I say. But, yeah, she's doing okay. And she's just got to carry on. She's got antibiotics for this infection, this water infection that they believe's caused the initial thing at the weekend. And I've spoken to them this morning. My mum's going to stay in bed today. She's decided she doesn't want to be getting up, which is fair enough. I think at that age you've earned the right to have a lie in. So she's going to stay in bed. My dad says he's okay, can manage. They've got plenty of food and everything. So at the moment, we're okay. I've just taken hubby to hospital this morning for 8 o'clock this morning for his eye operation. So I'm sort of like waiting for that to happen. And while they say they're okay, and I do think they're okay, you know, if I thought they weren't, then I would be there now. But no, they do seem to be okay. My mum's chatting, and my hubby can always make a laugh. He's got a real good rapport with my mum. I'm very lucky. My mum and hubby get on so well. They just, you know, they insult each other, but in fun. And they really wind each other up. And they just have a really good laugh together. You know, if anybody can get my mum's blood up and get her laughing and, you know, sort of pretend cross, then it's my hubby. So, you know, he rang her up last night and he was winding her up a bit. What do you think you're doing? Fancy wasting our time going in a hospital and all this? And she's, you know, she's saying back to him, well, you've done enough, so I thought it was my turn now. You know, they just banter between them. It's lovely. So, yeah, so he's at the hospital this morning for his eye operation. So I've been seeing a little bit more of hospitals again. It was funny when I walked into the hospital to see what was happening with my mum, and she was sat at the desk. It was hubby's old physiotherapist that he had when he was in hospital last year. And I said, oh, I know your face. And she just laughed. Like, oh, blooming heck. You know, it's the same people, just different person that they're looking after. But anyway. So that's been my saga so far this week. And we're only midweek. It's only Thursday. Goodness, it's been a bit of a week. So at the moment, I've still got the balloons up. So yeah, that's quite fun. Anybody that comes to the door now can see through the window that we've got all these balloons up in the house. One of the neighbours was laughing with us yesterday as we'd come back from seeing my mum and dad, and he was just saying, oh, because we'd had some door knockers, you know, you get all these different people coming and just knocking on the door. And he thought when my family, they'd parked at the top of the street because there's not much parking around here for cars. And he thought there were door knockers, so he'd gone and got hidden so that they didn't have to answer the door. He didn't realise they were coming to our house. But I suppose they were quite smartly dressed, you see, so he would think that they were there for a different reason. So when I told my brother and his family, he said, oh, have I got a new profession? That's good then, I'll have to remember that. Tell me which one it is and I'll go knock on his door next time I come. Oh dear. So, as my mum's fond of saying, these things are sent to try us. Keeps us busy, keeps us going. Just unfortunately, yeah, I've not had any time for YouTube. But I have done some diamond painting, because I do find that it's the best way to just relax when I got home with all the stress and everything that's going on. Just grab my diamond paintings and yeah, just get that done. Just sit before I go to bed, just sit for an hour and just do a little bit of diamond painting. And yeah, that's what I've done. That's what's happened. So this is the last colour of this one. I hope I haven't bored you to death with our hospital sagas. It's been, as I say, a bit of a week again. Our second bit of a week. So I'm just hoping now that hubby's eye operation will have gone well. He wasn't bothered about going in this morning. He was quite happy to go in. I didn't have any trouble getting him G'd up to go in the car, as it were. Let me just write a label for this 310s so I don't forget what they are. As it was last time, you know, he slept okay last night. He was up early this morning. So yeah, having the one last time that wasn't as traumatic as I thought. I think he'll just be thoroughly enjoying himself. He'll be chatting away to the nurses, having a laugh and a joke with them, and telling them all about what he's been getting up to, you know, and he'll be getting cups of tea and biscuits and all sorts. So he's quite happy. So I'm just trying to catch up on a bit of YouTubing and let you guys know what's going on. Okay, well that is that all done and put away, and my little Scotty dog will be cut out and put into its frame. And oh yeah, it looks a bit sad, this one, doesn't it? Once that taken off, to let it go and do zoomies around the living room. Okay, well I hope I haven't, as I say, bored you too much, and if you've enjoyed this little chat, as always, a thumbs up just helps me out with YouTube, and it's very much appreciated. If you've got any comments or questions, if you leave them in the comments down below. The prize draw will be done probably the 1st or 2nd of May, because obviously the hashtag 30 by 40 DP along actually finishes on the 30th of April. So it's like midnight April, and I realise that that will be different for each country depending on where you are in the world, whether you're behind time or in front of time. So if I sort of like leave it open roughly for the 1st of May-ish as well, and we'll see where we are just to get those last little stragglers in. And then I'll probably do the draw, and again I'll video it, and it'll probably be hubby and Millie that do the draw, and that will probably be done on the 2nd, so it'll be shortly after that. And then I'll do a montage of all the completed canvases as well, get all those gathered in. I have been putting them onto the Instagram page. If you do go onto Instagram and search hashtag 30 by 40 DP along, then it will show you most of people's entries, but it doesn't show you all of them. They seem to drop off. There are more than 100 entries, but there's not 100 on the top or the recent page. They don't put every single one on. They seem to drop off somehow, and I'm not sure how you would view the rest of them. I don't quite know how that works, but anyway, so that's how things are. So I've actually still been going in daily and gathering them all up so I don't miss any. I learnt my lesson last time. You suddenly find that one will disappear and you think, oh no, where's it gone? So yeah, you do need to check them daily to see what everybody's done. Okay, well, that is me finished. If you want to come and join our little family, I would prefer it if you're a subscriber, if you're joining in with the giveaway. And you can do that by pressing that subscribe button down in this corner, and all notifications bell pops up, and if you click on that, it lets you know when any of my videos come up, or any of my messages coming up saying I don't do a video today. Okay, well, thank you for all your messages as well for my dad's birthday and for my mum. I have passed them all on and they say thank you very much. We're all very, very grateful. It's lovely of you all to be thinking and praying for us. So with that, thank you ever so much for stopping by, and I do hope to see you all again soon. Bye for now. Watch. Look. Look. You've got to blow it out. And then it plays the music. Is that good? Where are the birds? Is that nice? Let's have a carrot. Millie started the buffet already. She's having a carrot. Oh, thank you very much. We like carrots.